Welcome back to Retro Inc. with myself, Adam, and my co-host,
Andy. Hello.
Hello. This week we'll start on a more somber note, remembering the wonderful Peter Mayhew.
The door opened and George walked in with Gary behind him. So naturally, what did I do? I'm raised in England. As soon as someone comes in through the door, I stand up. George goes, and virtually turned to Gary and said, I think we found him.
Welcome back to Retro Inc. And on a more happier note, and a little bit of discussion about Peter and his work within the Star Wars fandom community, and of course his appearances in Star Wars. Andy and I are going to talk a little bit about him before we get into the rest of this week's show. Andy, your thoughts on Peter and the role that he's played in making it sort of an integral part of the original trilogy?
Well, yeah. Let's start with the news first of it. I mean, when it broke, I was straight on the phone to you, wasn't I, at 12 o'clock at night, unfortunately, waking you up with multiple phone calls because I thought, I better talk to you about it because I know obviously it would affect us both as big fans, and Peter being an integral part of that fandom. Chewie is just as iconic as characters.
Any other character.
Darth Vader. Yeah. Probably more so than people like Lando and that. Chewie is a mainstay in popular culture. I know that Brad over at TSW, his daughter, absolutely loves Chewie. My daughter loves Chewie. He's a lovable character for every age. I'm a full-grown man, and I have a bit of a Chewie focus in my room with one or two items of his. And, and that was all down to Mr. Peter Mayhew. His gait, his performance, the way he grew that character is sublime, isn't it? You can tell how much Junus has learnt from Peter, and you could see him emulating his performance. And okay, it's not Peter Mayhew, but it's a very good copy of that, and that's down to Peter being really bringing his all and his own to that role. And it goes to show, such as Kenny Baker as R2, that these people inside the outfit are just as vitally important without a face. I love Chewie. He's always been one of my favourite characters in the saga, because the way he delivers the head nods and the mannerisms and just the small little nuances in his performance says more words than any dialogue can ever do. His relationship with Harrison Ford, their chemistry on screen is brilliant as well. And I know that it hit Harrison Ford quite hard with a really heartfelt Twitter post about Peter, which is nice to see. I'm not saying that Harrison Ford is heartless, but he never comes across as one that would share that sort of emotion. And I could see genuine sadness in that tweet, which was nice to see. That relationship is still strong after all these years. And for everything I've ever known, I've never met Peter Mayhew. I know you have, and you'll go into that in a minute. But he seems like he was universally loved, and for a good reason, because he seems like the most gentle of giants. And for that, he surely will be missed. I know he's not in Star Wars now, but he'll be forever in my heart watching it. So, yeah.
The weirdest thing was that it was nearly Dave Prowse that was going to play Chewie to start with. So, that's a very odd thing to think that perhaps Peter would have been Darth Vader, Yeah, I have met Peter many a time. And I always used to find it really quite incredible, but with the amount of people that he would have met through Comic-Cons and Star Wars meetups, that he would go, "Oh, hello again, how are you?" And maybe I thought I might have quite a distinctive face or character, but he would remember you, and he would ask how your children were, and he was just a very, very nice, genuine man. And bearing in mind that this guy, was discovered, as a hospital porter, basically. So he was a kind man at his core. He had a difficult relationship with certain characters from the original trilogy. But on the whole, I think a lot of people had huge admiration for him because through his later life, he suffered with a lot of health problems, especially with his height. And so he was in a wheelchair. He was wheelchair bound a lot, and I think he was just a lovely, lovely guy. And we've now lost Kenny and obviously Carrie and many other characters within the Star Wars universe, and it's getting a bit packed up there now, isn't it?
Unfortunately so, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one thing as well is about people like Peter as well that I love is the way they embrace their fandom, the way they embrace the fans, like you say, the way he even the franchise that he's in, he knows, he loves Star Wars, and it's that it made his life, and he appreciates that Star Wars made him what he was, and it's nice to see that. And the little things like the walking sticks that were lightsabers.
Yes.
That is really embracing.
Yeah.
The thing that you're passionate about, and I think that's great. It's such nice little touches that man had.
He spent a lot of time in London Zoo looking at bears' behaviour and monkeys and gorillas, and he really, really got into that role. He was Chewbacca. He was him.
Yeah.
Out and about, he was Chewie. It was him. He was a Minotaur in what was the film? I was just trying to remember what the film was in. Oh, Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. But that wasn't him. He was Chewie.
Yeah. That's what I mean. When you see those little things that Chewie does with his head when he's answering back, or he's being sarcastic, or he's threatening someone, there's no words there. It's all in his performance.
It's his eyes.
He nails it. And their chemistry between him and Harrison, when Harrison will say something to him and Chewie give him a little, that whole on the sail barge when he goes, we won't this and we won't that, right? And Chewie goes, nah, and that's Peter's performance there. It's just it's funny, and then him actually saying no, it just works. It's a great guy that will be missed.
The sentiments that have come in from Mark Hamill were beautiful. The sentiments that came in from George were wonderful. And Harrison himself, paid tribute to him. He will be sorely missed.
Will. So should we take a moment's silence just to remember the great Peter Mayhew?
And we're back. So, this week's news.
Well,
news.
Star Wars Day.
Star Wars Day.
Let's do Star Wars
Day.
Day.
So just had May the 4th, which was just 2 days away. How did you spend your day? What did you do? Did you dress up a little bit? Did you wear a T-shirt, some pants?
There's no difference to any other day me doing those parts of it, to be fair. I'm currently wearing my Star Wars T-shirt now, or one of them. I didn't do anything in the day, but me and my daughter had it planned that we was going to sit down and we was going to have a nice little feast dinner, have a picnic in the front room and watch some Star Wars with all our cuddly toys and everything. And we did, and it was lovely. We sat down and I let her choose, and she did choose the Phantom Menace, but I'm okay with that.
So
because
yeah,
it's more accessible for kids her age. And do you know what? Watching it with her last night, because I haven't watched the prequel trilogy with my daughter. I've only ever kind of watched The Force Awakens or A New Hope with her, because
they're gentle.
The Skywalker reveal has not yet been mentioned to her. I mean, she kind of started picking up on Anakin Skywalker in The Phantom Menace, but she didn't really put 2 and 2 together. I don't think she can sort of rationalize the fact that small child is that grown-ass evil dude. But yeah, she chose that, and watching it with my daughter actually made me really enjoy that film a lot more, and even Jar Jar, because do you know what? She loved him, and every time he came on the screen, she thought it was hilarious. And I thought, damn straight, this is who it was made for.
It was made for little kids.
Yeah, and I can sit there as an adult and I am enjoying the bits. Every time a lightsaber gets ignited in that movie, it's brilliant, right? I especially love some of the shots. One of them that got me is looking back at the desert scene where Anakin's about to board the Royal Starship.
Yeah.
And Maul starts coming through and he's like, Anakin, down. And that whole scene now is fantastic, especially when the ship starts to take off and Obi-Wan looks out of the cockpit and you can see it down on the ground. That is a great bit of cinematography, that scene. And every time a lightsaber gets ignited in that movie, you're on for some of the best lightsaber scenes we've seen in all of the Star Wars saga. So I kind of started to appreciate that a lot more. And even the bits that weren't for me, I was enjoying because she was sitting there really enjoying it. And I thought, this is what this is about. And watching it with my daughter has retroactively made me really enjoy A Phantom Menace a hell of a lot more. The pod race scene, she was lapping it up, how high intense it is, because we was watching it on my big 4K TV with the sound up and everything, and she was all in, and it was great. Really enjoyed watching that with her. So
a kid of that age, is going to watch a kid of that age, little Anakin, sitting on that bar going, "Are you an angel?" I mean, those are the sort of things that kids say.
Yeah.
And we, we can get annoyed and irritated as an adult listening to that kind of dialogue and script, but that's how a kid would talk.
Of course, my daughter looks at me sometimes and goes, "Daddy, I want to be a unicorn." I'm like, "Babe, so do I."
I want to see them all. So much easier. When he says, "I want to see them all," I want to,
Yeah, I'll be the first one to see them all.
Yeah, that's what I say.
And
I do love The Phantom Menace. I mean, I think that was 9 times I think I saw that in the cinema, and I rushed out and bought all the figures and chocolate bars and kept everything.
Yeah.
Maybe not worth a great deal, but the memory of that time is worth a huge.
Mate, as a collector, that it's not about the value a lot of the time. It's about the fact.
It would be the fact that moment, that year, was just enthralling and exciting, and just the fact they were making another Star Wars movie was just. And there was little bits on TV. There was a Channel 4 special, and so exciting, and I mean, the next film was just as exciting that it was coming out, but I walked out thinking, did I enjoy that or not? I'm not sure. But that was because I think Phantom Menace was actually a lot better than I wanted to give it credit for. After watching it 9 times.
Honestly, watching it back now, I've always said that I've said before that I'm taking a U-turn on the Phantom Menace over the last few years. That I'm starting to appreciate the prequel trilogy a hell of a lot more the older I get and the older it gets, because I think dating it actually makes it fit in with Star Wars a lot better, the original trilogy. Like that first shot where the shuttle's going towards the Trade Federation ship.
Oh, yes.
Like, it reeks of original Star Wars now, because it looks a bit dated. And I know that's a bit weird to say, but it works, right? But yeah, just watching it back, I was like, I'm really enjoying this now. And I kind of want to go and watch Attack of the Clones, just to see if it really resonates in that same way now within the hype. Even with that in my mindset now about how if she was sitting there watching this, how she'd be reacting. She was getting bored at some parts of it when obviously they're sitting around the council chamber talking about, trade routes. And I was like, and even I said to her when the starting scroll, I said, "Do you want me to read this to you?" She went, "Yeah." I said, "Really? Because not even Daddy cares." And she laughed, and I started reading it out to her. I went, "You won't understand." I started going about taxation routes, and she just went, "Yeah, don't worry." I was like, exactly. It's one of them.
So if I ask my son which of the 3 prequels he prefers Attack of the Clones.
Really?
So there you go. It's a kid's view of things,
Do you think that's got anything to do with the fact that does he like the Clone Wars?
Yeah. No, yeah, he did. He did.
Exactly.
He likes also, I think, the fact that, it's the birth of clones.
Yeah.
He likes that whole bit when they're flying through and they're chasing Dooku. Loves all that stuff, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, watching it back, actually, one of my biggest issues with the prequel trilogy is the CGI, and I think that's what it is. Because I was watching the version where Yoda is still a puppet in the Phantom Menace. He looks great. Like, I was actually watching it thinking, there is nothing wrong with Yoda in this scene. He looks a bit younger, but then he is a bit younger.
He's floating around in his chair.
Yeah, but he's not been living on a swamp for 50 or 30 years. It's of course he's a bit more. It
does look very clean, and it does look very CG'd.
Yeah, I mean, it was just more.
It's forgivable.
I mean, some of it didn't look too bad. Like when the droid cars come rolling in and that. Actually, that's kind of okay. It's when you're getting onto the Windows 95 screensaver on Naboo, that it just looks a bit ropey. You know, it goes from live action to CGI, live action to CGI, and it's not a mix. It's just that whole battle on Naboo is CGI.
To be honest, I think it looks better on a 720p TV.
That's what I'm talking about. I think this is why, in retrospect, it's kind of a little bit. It works now because it's degraded a bit in quality, and that matches it up with the OT a little bit more. Like I say, that first scene, it looks a bit cheesy and cheap, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It works. It's, you know, it's not all glossy.
It certainly wasn't cheap, was it? That's for sure.
But it's just all glossy in that. Yeah, it fits more. Some of the issues I have is obviously the tech, like the droid cars, that they are far superior to anything we see in the OT. In design, but we don't have them there. But then you can put that down to, you know, the resistance aren't really a thing, are they? They're just scraping together whatever they can, and the
Naboo starfighters are a thing of beauty. I love the Naboo.
Yeah, but I think it just looks too clean. I don't know why. But then I suppose if you want to look at it,
it is very clean.
Yeah,
it's clean, very
exactly.
tidy.
It's going to be different strokes for different folks around the galaxy, and it's just
bought a Love Boss Nass, didn't she?
No, she liked the Gungans, but Boss Nass didn't really bother her. She liked the fish. When they're going to the core, or through the planet's core. Yeah, she liked it. I mean, she liked the little droid that, you know, Jar Jar sets off, and he has to flick it on the nose. She liked like Ben Quadneros and the whole pod race scene there. You know, there's no creatures in it that were cool. Yeah, she just really, you know, we had a great time last night, the two of us, just sitting down and watching that for a couple of hours. I mean, she did start to get a little bit bored at the end, and I did realise it was over 2 hours. I forgot that. So she asked me to skip forward to the bit where Darth Maul gets sliced in half. Because my 5-year-old daughter's a psychopath, apparently. But I did, and she thoroughly enjoyed it, and then made me play it twice over before we turned it off. So
that scene is awesome. That's the first time we really have seen we had seen Jedi's fight, and it was an amazing scene. Amazing scene.
I might not be a great dad though, because as soon as I showed her that, and she said, "Oh, he's dead." I went, "No, he's not dead." She was like, "What?" I went, "He comes back." She was like, "What?" And I went, "Do you want to see him?" I said, "Because he's got legs." I showed her the scene from Attack of the Clones where he's got the spider legs in the thing. Terrified her. Great stuff.
Sleep well, darling.
Yep. Bedtime. Yeah, that's what I did for Star Wars Day. What did you do?
Well, I did a wedding. As a hairdresser, I did a wedding, and I had some ladies coming for their hair to be done. And these was the daughter and grandchildren of my client, and she asked me about 4 months ago if I could help her out with her wedding. I said, "Well, of course I can." And I said, "When is it?" She said, "May the 4th." I went, "Really?" She said, "Would you help me?" I said, "Yeah." So I gave her some ideas for the tables, how the tables had to be looked. So
everyone had cinnamon bun haircuts, didn't they?
No, they didn't. So the family had white and rebels, and the friends had black tablecloths with the insignia, so the imperial cog. Yeah. So I sent her all of the images, and I sent her all the place where she could get the sort of the font for a wedding flyers and posters and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and I said, don't go over the top, don't go too over the top, but keep it nice and simple, because it's your wedding, you don't want it to be too Star Warsy. But she did put all those things in. It was really cool. And I wore my best Star Wars t-shirt for work. I got very sort of dressed up because it was the day after Peter's passing, so I had a black suit on for work, and a Star Wars t-shirt that's all Diamante, the way that it says Star Wars.
That doesn't surprise me.
No.
Did you have your right set Fred pants on as well?
I have the Star Wars pants on. And I played Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, nice.
In the evening, yes. I played a bit of Star Wars Battlefront 2. And that was all good. Really good. That was my Star Wars day. Different one to normal. I wouldn't normally, but that was a Saturday. So, you know.
Well, I was watching Return of the Jedi just before we came on. So thought I'd give that a little watch today in a
Yeah.
belated Star Wars Day thing. But yeah, it's a great little day. It's nice to see.
Wonderful. It's wonderful. In the past, I've done because I'm in the Rebel Legion, so I've cosplayed as my Jedi character, and I've done Legoland, and I've walked through the park with other Jedis, and we've done that parade through Legoland Windsor.
I'm going there in July.
Oh, you love it, mate. And I've done a few other sort of big events on May the 4th, but yeah, it was very, 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 very nice. You said you watched Return of the Jedi, and one thing that doesn't have is CGI. Now, moving on, we've had a bit of a trailer drop this week, and
if anyone is part of our group,
hasn't it?
If anyone is part of our group, they will know my disdain for this trailer.
So, the trailer being Sonic the Hedgehog.
It's not though, is it?
No, it's not. It's Sonic the Bodybuilder. Sonic the Runner. What is it?
Sonic the Roid Head. Why is Sonic lanky with calves and like a six-pack with teeth? It doesn't make sense. Although the director of this, I will read out the actual quote from him, because obviously there was a critical backlash of this trailer dropping on the internet. Now, generally, I'm one of those people. I will try to stay semi-open-minded with things. I'll watch a trailer, and they're never really a trailer. I mean, trailers are intended to make you like a film, whether or not you think it'd be any good anyway, but I've never really seen a trailer which I've watched and from the get-go gone, that looks terrible. But Jeff Fowler, the director of this, tweeted out a couple of days later, "Thank you for the support and the criticism. The message is loud and clear. You aren't happy with the design and you want changes. It's going to happen. Everyone at Paramount and Sega are fully committed to making this character the best he can be. Hashtag Sonic movie, hashtag gotta fix fast." This film comes out Q1 of next year. I think it's like January, February it comes out.
26th of December 2019.
Oh, is it December? Is it? Blimey. Okay, I thought it was January, sorry. But yeah, so this comes out at the end of this year. So they've got 5 months realistically to get this fixed and ready. Yeah. Which isn't impossible. Now, generally people would turn around and say
Wait, mate. Right. This is a main character of a film.
Yeah.
Now, if they've got to fix this, they've got to fix the main character in every scene that he's in.
I should imagine
that's a lot of work.
That is a lot of work, but surely this is like the animation can kind of slightly, I don't know how it probably works, but surely most of the frame animation is there, isn't it? Just changing the actual graphic and obviously there'll be tweaks and things that will need to happen in every scene to make it fit, but I just think that what we got was something they should have just not called it Sonic. It doesn't seem to fit anywhere. It's not the Sonic story that I would have gone with, And one of my biggest problems as well is, and I kind of think this might be Paramount and Sega. Mm-hmm. Let's just say Disney because they own everything these days. But I think this could be Paramount and Sega putting out the worst. They've probably got the Sonic character design already and it's all okay, but they've shown us this to distract from Jim Carrey's performance as Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah. Now is James Marsden, is he playing Sonic? James Marsden, he's doing the voice. Voice of Sonic.
Sonic is I can never remember the guy's name, but did you ever watch Parks and Recreation?
Is it Adam Pally?
No, Jason Schwartz played Jason Schwartz played John Ralphio in Parks and Rec, and that's fine. The voice was fine.
Why didn't they motion capture him?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that have been better? Really?
It might be mocapped. I don't know if it's mocapped or not, but my issue with it is it just looks bad. It's not Sonic. I've already seen fan artwork and fan fixes on this that look better than what they have been working on for however many years, and I find it strange that if Sega are fully committed to making this the best he can be, how Sega have gone, yeah, that looks good. Sonic has changed over the years in style, but he's always looked very similar. This, he looks different, and it doesn't work.
I would have preferred this if this was computer-generated film totally.
Yeah.
like Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. I'd have preferred it if this was a complete animation to the highest spec. If they're going to spend $90 million on a movie, you can get people like Jim Carrey doing the voice and various people doing the voices. I'd prefer if this was animated. I think it would just look better. And then you could create this. You could create the world of Sonic, whatever that world is called, and it wouldn't be set on Earth. It wouldn't be a cop.
This is what doesn't work. Yeah, well, it is Hop, but unfortunately, the animal they've created is far too lifelike. Put it like this, right? So I'm going to use Super Mario Brothers film as an analogy here, and it's an poor analogy for quality because obviously it's a terrible film, even though I enjoy it. But we spoke about that. That's because I was a child when it came out. That's nostalgic. I know it's crap, right? But put it into this context. So they made a Super Mario Brothers movie, live action, and Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo as those two.
Yeah,
they may not work completely, but they're just two human guys in the same sort of size and stature that the Mario Brothers are, and it works, right? But if you were to do a computer-generated Super Mario Brothers movie and not make them cartoony, but try to make them look semi-realistic, lifelike, it would look atrocious, wouldn't it? It would look horrible. And this is kind of what it seems like they've done. I'm not expecting them to do a live-action Sonic and have a blue hedgehog literally walking about on the floor. But just stick with the cartooniness of him, because clearly going from cartoon hedgehog to semi-realistic, photorealistic human hedgehog hybrid type thing just looks scary. It doesn't work. So they should have just gone, and the fan stuff I've seen is like akin to Hop, where it's live action with a blatant cartoon bunny. They didn't try to make Hop look like, EB look like a photorealistic kind of in the middle of cartoon and a real world rabbit. Like, he was a cartoon rabbit, and it works because of that. And this fan art I've seen of the Sonic movie is just literally someone's made the Sonic X one from the cartoon over this, and it looks great. It works, and I can't see why they just didn't go with that in the first place. Because if they're marketing this to kids want that.
I would have loved this to look like the Oasis in Ready Player One, just a very beautiful looking.
That'd be great. Yeah,
place. It would look psychedelic. Kind of
neo-noir in places when they go to Casino Zone and all of that, and it's neo-noir with the fluorescence and stuff. That'd look pretty cool. And I mean, I'm okay with a live-action Sonic movie, but it's just how they inject him into that movie. Photorealistic Sonic does not work, right? Or this sort of weird semi-hybrid of that. But a cartoon Sonic in the real world, like EB and Hop, would work absolutely fine. The other issue there we've got to worry about then is the story, because this film just didn't seem to have anything of any interest in it whatsoever. And Jim Carrey going full-blown 90s Jim Carrey is just bad. It's I don't like the guy anyway. I mean, to be fair, I like Jim Carrey in serious movies. I'm even going to class Truman Show as a serious movie because it's him being stupid, but
it is,
realistically stupid.
It is realistically stupid. And 13, or 23? Was it 23?
No, the number 23. Yeah,
23. Yeah, very good. Detective Pikachu, which is released on the 10th of this month,
it is having glowing reviews,
isn't it? Yeah. So what has that got right?
I honestly, mate, I don't know. I think
is it Ryan Reynolds again?
It might be the touch of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu.
Justice Smith is quite popular.
He's quite popular. But do you think this is just really well written?
I think it's well written, and I think it's because I think what Detective Pikachu has got is he's not trying to emulate the game that you love. It already threw people for a loop when, hang on, Pikachu talks and it's a film noir, because that's what I've heard this is. It's actually a film noir. It's a detective movie. And Ryan Reynolds isn't doing his usual quirky silliness. Every joke of his is kind of like doing that 1950s, see? That type of breaking them down kind of joke. And you've taken a property of Pokemon and not done what Pokemon is. You've done a offshoot, like a parallel story of something that goes on in that Pokemon world. And I think that's kind of why it works, because it's bringing new people on board. Now, I know that I'm going to watch this and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy it. Right?
We're going to go and see it next week.
Yeah,
We're going to go
and I
see
think a
this
lot of that is
again,
probably
so
Ryan
I'll
Reynolds.
Yeah, probably would be. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's just the way that they've kind of gone, we're using the intellectual property, but we're going to make our own story, which is what they've kind of done with Sonic, but they've screwed the pooch on so many other aspects of it so far. And that is all I think it really comes down to. And maybe because Pokemon is still relevant and Sonic isn't.
Mm.
Sonic is a staple of pop culture and everyone knows who he is, but the offerings of Sonic games we've had over the last 10 years hasn't been great. The offerings we've had of Pokemon games over the last 10 years have been just as stellar as always. Plus, we had Pokemon Go, which brought the whole world to its knees for 6 months.
Where Sonic should have gone realistically in the gaming market is the way that Mario went in the Mario Kart market.
Mm-hmm.
And then the new Mario games, it should have gone in that direction.
Yeah.
It stayed very static and it's become extremely dull. The game itself isn't a dull game, but the way it's gone has been completely. It hasn't evolved in a way, and it hasn't expanded itself.
Well, look at Mario Odyssey.
The game writers have not. Yeah, exactly. I mean, game writers have just not really done anything with it at all, which is a great shame.
I mean, the best offering we had of Sonic over the last few years was Sonic 4.
Sonic 4, yeah.
Which was the side-scrolling 2D platformer like the original, and it was great. It just because it was more Sonic, but it's not breaking any barriers. It was just more Sonic that we had on the Mega Drive, looking glossier and quicker and sharper, which isn't a bad thing.
It would have looked fantastic if it was more first person, or you could at least choose first person and run and loop the loops and
do that in VR.
Well, do that sort of stuff that you can do in Mario Kart.
Yeah.
It would have looked amazing.
Sonic's
good luck, Detective Pikachu. I do hope it does really well because they've already started writing the second one. So to sort of greenlight it so quickly is pretty astounding.
I know they're on a winner there.
Yeah, I mean, something's definitely clicked.
I think, look,
awesome.
Let's be honest. If you're a film studio, I think if you're going to be completely honest with yourself and all your what do you call them, your test subject, your test groups and that you put it out to, whether or not you've got a good film before you put it out. Now, some studios just have to bite the bullet and put that film out knowing that it's never going to make bank that they wanted, right? But I think when they've made this Detective Pikachu movie, they knew from probably halfway through production, we've got something good here, okay? And there was a little bit of backlash about the realistic Pokemon, but they actually got one of the DeviantArt artists that has been doing photorealistic Pokemon for a few years to actually come on board as a advisor sort of thing, which is great. And it's nice to see these people doing this. So, Star Wars doing it with the 501st and getting real people involved that are fans because they know they're doing a great job. It's the same thing here. It's going and getting this Deviant artist that's going, right, I do this as fun. And they're going, great stuff, come on board and help us do it. And you look at those photorealistic Pokemon in it, and there's a couple of bit of, I don't like this, I don't like that. But it's not about that per se. It's about the whole product and their faith in the product at this point. They haven't got to change anything because they know it's good film, right? Whereas it worries me with Sonic that one day of fan backlash, literally one day, and a director and Sega and a Paramount have gone, we need to change this. They clearly don't have enough faith in the movie itself that even changing something as big as that has to become apparent, because they could have turned around if they knew the film was good. They could have turned around and gone, don't worry about it, it'll be great when it comes out, you'll like it. But they didn't. They were like, crap, we've got to save this, and that worries me.
They've invested a lot of money in it,
and mate, give it a couple of months because I wouldn't be surprised if this gets pushed back to quarter 2 2020.
Yeah
I really wouldn't be surprised, and they might just rewrite and redo the whole film. It wouldn't be a first for something like that to happen with something, but we'll see. Right. I've got a bit of retro-ish kind of news if you want to quickly hear it. This is a nice one. This is actually for our sweetie and our edible community that like eating things that are a bit more retro, but a well-known British supermarket brand beginning with a T, and that's not Tasda or Tainsbury's, okay? They are bringing out rhubarb and custard creams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the great British classic, the custard cream, is getting a nice little British retro twist with the rhubarb and cream.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I shall get some, and I shall give a live review of them 1 week. I've got to. It's for the podcast. So yeah,
They
get
were
yourself down there.
they were lovely, were they? Them and strawberries and cream were wonderful sweet.
Yeah, I like a custard cream. And I like my rhubarb and custards. So I'm really looking forward to these rhubarb and custard cream things. I really can't wait to get my teeth around some of them with a cup of coffee.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but we'll do a live taster on the pod 1 week.
Yeah. Well, today I took the children to go, and we went to Portsmouth on the south coast of England to Portsmouth Comic Con, it claims to be the biggest Comic Con on the south coast. And one of the stalls was just Japanese sweets. Now, when you go into a restaurant and you're going to pay your bill and they bring your bill with a couple of tiny little chocolates, right?
Yep.
So they had the tiniest Kit Kat you have ever seen, green tea flavored.
Yeah, they're good then.
£1.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it was probably an inch, maybe an inch and a half maximum size.
Mm.
I didn't even get a bite. He just went straight in my child's. But the other thing they had.
I'm sorry, I was trying to hold that in.
So the other thing they had as well, they had Pokemon drinks. So these were
fizzy water.
Oh my god!
There's a Japanese shop just in town to me that's got them. Yeah,
awesome. And what are those little? I don't know. They're sort of like I don't know the name of these things. They're like little long biscuit toothpicks, and they've got chocolate on them.
Yeah,
they come in a red box. And there's the Japanese version.
Yeah. I know the ones you mean. Have you ever had
those? They were nice.
Oh, they are nice. They look like matchmakers, but they're biscuit with chocolate on them, aren't they?
Doesn't everything that's Japanese look cool? I mean,
it does. You say that because I was watching some YouTube videos because I'm always watching weird food YouTube videos because my other passion is food, obviously, with my extra large t-shirts. But my other passion is food, and I do a lot of cooking, and I do a lot of baking, and I always watch videos. And I was looking at some Japanese sweets on a YouTube video, and they are bizarre. So I actually went online and I bought one for my daughter, and I got it imported, and it comes in. Do you know the Lunchables? The kids' lunchable packs with the biscuits and the ham and the cheese slices that you put together. It come in one of those sort of size packets, and each compartment had a different thing in it, and it had an instruction sheet that you got out, and it was all in Japanese, so I had to go on their website to get it, the English version of it. But you had to construct your sweets, right? And I'm just trying to think back. So one of them was you had this little plastic tiny bottle, like the fish that you get with the soy sauce in sushi. It was like that sort of size.
Yeah.
And you squirted it in, and it was root beer flavored liquid. And in this other packet, you had this like powder, and you had to put it in one of the trays in this little hole, and it said fill it half up with that, and then put this other liquid in there, and then you put it in this little piping bag that comes with it. You squirt it in, and it turned it into udon noodles in the sauce. So as it squirted into the sauce, it went from a weird paste into a solid strand in this sauce. So it looked like little udons. And in this other part of it, you had a couple of bits of like fondant sugar, and you had to press it into molds to make the little dumplings that went in top of the noodles. And then another bit of it, you made little bits of sushi with this stuff. It was crazy. And it was like we were sitting there constructing these little bits of Japanese sweets for like 20 minutes, half an hour. They tasted vile. But it was a really cool little half an hour because it was like soda flavored liquid with strawberry flavor noodles and all of these crazy things. But it was like, it only cost me about £3 or £4 to get it imported. But it was, it's only one sweet. But this is what the kids out there have from, probably on their way home from school from the shop or something, It's crazy, man. It was a really fun little thing to do, though.
This stall, I mean, not only did it have this amazing array of sweets and snacks, but it also had this stand that had all these exact kits, little molds to make sweets with chopsticks and all kinds of stuff, just beautifully packaged. I was in love with this stuff. One of the things that I really love collecting, especially Star Wars stuff, is I love Chirashi movie posters. Now, Chirashi is Japan. They're miniature posters, so they're probably about A4 size, and they've got obviously the often a different poster to what we get in the UK or the US, with obviously amazing Japanese writing all over it. And then on the rear of it, it's got a sort of synopsis of the film, the actors, the cast and everything else. And I love collecting them, and they're so cheap. You can find them on eBay. If you have a little look, put in trashy movie posters, and you can find your favourite movie often as an A4 print, and you can find that book on the wall. They look wicked, yeah. So I've got a lot of those. So I really love those. But what a fantastic con this was. So I was looking at the guest list, and sometimes a guest appears that you just have probably waited 20, 30 years to meet. And one of those people that I've been on my list of people to meet was Roger Deakins. Now, I mentioned this name to you earlier, and you were like, "Oh, it's not Dickens, so it's not." And it's not.
You said to me, "Do you know Roger Deakins?" I said, "That's not a typo for Roger Deakins."
Well, Roger Deakins is Oscar nominated for The Facehugger and Chestburster models for Alien. And he's never done a Comic-Con before, ever. And he's a very shy, retiring kind of guy. He's also a monster maker for several movies from the 70s.
So basically, he's very quiet, keeps himself to himself, and in his spare time likes to create evil killing machines in the cupboard.
You got it in one. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, a bit like Geiger doing his drawings. So I took my VHS covers for Alien and got them signed by him, which is wonderful. I also met Karen Gillan as well, who is the guy who did Star Wars Darth Vader comic and many other Marvel titles.
Again, when you asked me who that was, I said that's not a typo for Karen Gillan, is it?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. So it was a really good con. Saw lots of friends there, including Niklas, who is a member of our Retro Inc. Facebook group. Now, the two costumes that Niklas uses when he goes and cosplays is one of them is Dredd, and it is a thing of beauty to just see him walking around dressed as
Mrs. Doubtfire, isn't it?
The other one's Boba Fett. So he's nearly finished. So he's nearly finished his Boba Fett. He's very nearly finished. I'm looking forward to seeing him do that. But yeah, great to see you today, Niklas, and your children. And but it's a really good con, man. And if you ever get a chance to go to smaller Comic Cons, do so. Support them, because without your support, they can't grow bigger. And often, I've seen a lot of Comic Cons just fade away because lack of attendance. It costs them.
I'm hoping next month we will.
Well, indeed. So that's what I got up to today. Have you managed to watch anything this week before I start quizzing you with this week's quiz?
Have I watched anything this week? I've watched a bit more Friday Night Dinner. I'm near the end of that now. That's just a nice, quaint little British comedy series about a Jewish family that sit down every night for Friday dinner. And it's got Tamsin Greige from Black Books and tons of other British comedy. The guy who plays Will from In-Betweeners, he's in it. He's as funny as he ever is. The other brother is Rosenthal. I can never remember his first name, but he was in Plebs. He's actually the son of Jim Rosenthal, the football presenter.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He was great in Plebs, and he's brilliant in this as Will's younger brother. Can't remember their names in it, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's just a nice little funny British comedy about a family sitting down every night for Friday dinner and it all going completely wrong and weird stuff happening. And the dad is brilliant. Every week there's a running joke, and it's kind of become a bit of a quotable thing now. They sit down every week, the food comes out, he starts eating, he goes, "Oh, lovely bit of squirrel." And yeah, it's just one of those, the repetitive comedy works. I watched a bit of Infinity War again, because why not? Game of Thrones. Oh my word, Game of Thrones. How can we leave that out? Well, we're going to leave that out because you probably haven't watched it and Jeremy's not here. And
so,
right.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to give you a non-spoiler review of episode 3 of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
Right, continue, because I've got nothing. It was brilliant. That's all I can say. It was one of those that is like, we're in the end game now. There is nothing else here apart from the ending coming. So whoever's, we've got the group on there. If anyone wants to talk about it, you can tag me in it, and I'll jump on and have a chat.
We do have on the Facebook group. We do have a spoiler chat area for Game of Thrones. So
this is the only trouble with something as big as Game of Thrones. I'm not willing to talk about it on this podcast weekly, in case of anything, because it's not fair. Some people don't get a chance.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump on around episode 7, and then I'm going to start my Now TV subscription for the month, which is £8, and I'll do all 7 episodes up to that Sunday, then watch it on the Monday.
Yeah.
And then I'll,
And then Monday night we will be on doing a cap.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. That'd be fantastic. So, finally, digitally, a movie that was heralded as the best indie sci-fi since Moon, a movie called Prospect, was released. And Prospect is a smart, entertaining, and a treat for the eyes movie, rivaling sort of Ridley Scott, Christopher Nolan's kind of work, and it leaves you breathless in its otherworldly splendor. It's very kind of Annihilation looking, really. Wow. If you've seen that and like it, you'll love this. And it's got it stars Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones.
Sold.
And he's also obviously the lead in the up and coming Mandalorian.
And he's also brilliant in Kingsman too.
Yes, he is brilliant in that. It also stars a fantastic young actress called Sophie Thatcher. And this is basically, they're prospectors, and it's in space, of course. And they go to a remote alien moon aiming to strike it rich. They've secured the contract to harvest these elusive gems that are hidden in the depths of the moon's toxic forest. And it looks stunningly beautiful, this place.
How do you do a happy prospectors dance when you've struck gold in space? You can't do the little jig from side to side. It just doesn't. Well,
actually, it has the same gravity as here, but it's got a very toxic.
That's all right.
So they have to. So this is what's really cool about this film. I'll get to this in a second. So there are others also on this small moon, roving in the wilderness to try and also get this stuff. And it's gripping. It's brilliant. And it's wonderful. Now, what I really loved about this is that apart from when they're in their own little spaceship, they've got to wear helmets because the atmosphere is toxic. So there's this real sense of kind of claustrophobicness. You've got to really listen to the dialogue because they've got these helmets on. But it's really good. And I bought it straight away. Now, the cool thing about this film is it was funded and by Dust. Now, Dust is a channel, you can find it on YouTube, and it's also Facebook, that shows very short sci-fi movies made by you and I, kind of thing, and I would highly recommend checking out the channel and going to their Facebook page, because every week there is a new sci-fi short, and you think that these people have got very little budget. They're putting their heart, soul, passion into something, and the Dust basically is doing pretty well. So they made this film, and they showed it at that cinema. I think is it called the Charles Cinema in London?
Prince Charles, yeah.
Yeah, they showed it there. It came to sort of rave reviews. If you put in Prospect review into YouTube, you'll see that the people who have watched it at Sundance and North by Southwest, or whatever it's called, the big festival in the States, loved it. And I absolutely adore this film. So watch that. And another movie that I wanted to revisit was Snowpiercer.
Oh, I love that film.
Now, I remember watching this just after it was released again. When did I say? So I think I might have borrowed it off somebody. And I thought, yeah, it was all right. It was all right. Now it's on Netflix, and I watched it again, and I was absolutely captivated by this time. So I don't know why it didn't grip me the first time, but it certainly got me this time. Maybe it's because of Chris Evans, because I do like that guy. He's
great, mate. Do you know what? Funny enough, I did watch it again, Rise of the Silver Surfer, yesterday, because it was on, and it was just on in the background. I didn't watch it; it was just on. He's great in that. He's actually not bad at all. He's probably one of the best bits about that movie. But Snowpiercer it's my bag. My favourite type of films, aside from my generic sci-fi Star Wars stuff, is I like my
dystopian
post-apocalypse. It's
stuff.
my thing. The Divide is one of my favourite
I love that
films
film
of
as
all
well. Love
time.
that.
And Snowpiercer is right in that wheelhouse.
It is.
It's originally a French comic.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, I prefer. I've tried to read some of the comic and I didn't like it, but I love the movie. I thought it was somewhere in between, like The Raid on a train, especially that scene in the middle where they have to go through the gang.
And the road on the train.
Yeah, of course, because obviously they're trying to get to the end, and it's one of those that it's I love it because it's just unforgiving. It just does what it does. It's very Luc Besson in that way. Like I was saying before, that he just runs with it. You know, they don't try to answer all these questions as to why this is the way it is. You know, the world ended because of they tried to fire these missiles to change climate change, and they actually went wrong and they froze the planet, and therefore they made a train that flies around the earth, keeping everyone warm that's on board. It's mental, but it doesn't address that. It just goes, just believe that's the case and enjoy the rest of the film. And if you can do that, it's bloody brilliant, because it's just a movie about class divide.
Yeah,
at the end of the day, and revolt.
And climate change.
Yeah,
it's actually a climate change experiment, wasn't it? That's killed all life except for a lucky few that are on this train.
Yeah, on the train, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's got Jamie Bell, it's got Tilda Swinton, it's got Ed Harris, got John Hurt.
John Hurt, yeah. It's
got Tavia Spencer, she's great, and it's got
who's the Korean actor?
Ewan Bremner as well, you know, from Trainspotting fame.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He is the Korean actor who plays the. Is he a thief or something on the platform that's frozen? Yeah, isn't he?
Bloody cast.
It's a brilliant cast. It's a really underrated movie. It's
directed by Jun Ho Bong or Bong Joon Ho.
Yeah, because is it Korean?
He's actually in it, isn't he? He plays. He's just changed his name round. And plays that.
Yeah.
But yeah, really great film.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, man. I enjoyed it the first time, but this time it really gripped me, and just how good it was. I'm like you, mate. I love Children of Men. I like that kind of.
Have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah.
Yeah, great series, brilliant series.
And there was another Netflix movie that I recommended a couple of podcasts back on Netflix. I can't remember what that's damn called now, but
similar vein, yeah.
Similar vein. Now, something else that I decided to rewatch on a completely different level, Friends with Benefits.
Hey, Jessica Alba and Justin Timberlake, that one.
Justin Timberlake, Mila Kunis.
Oh, Mila Kunis, sorry, yeah.
I decided to watch that again because that's now on Netflix, and I thought I've definitely got to give that a rewatch.
I love Timberlake. I think he's
great in
great actor, mate. Even in what's the one where he plays the French chef? Terrible movie. I can't remember. Is it Love Guru?
Yeah, could have been.
Blimey, I can't remember. Even he's great in that. Southland Tales, I think he's in that. Is that the one he's in? In Time.
Yes. In Time.
Great in that movie. Justin Timberlake's a fantastic actor. Trolls. He's great in Trolls. I love that film. One of the modern classics that is for kids. He doesn't get enough credit.
Do you remember we were discussing recasting the X-Men? And yes. I said a particular singer from a popular boy band.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, no, you're going to say. Now, let's swap that over and put Justin Timberlake in there. Do you think he would be a good X-Man? I don't know. Angel, perhaps? I don't know. Maybe, don't know. I think he could do it. Anyway.
Like Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's going to kill some...
So...
contention.
Another series that is extremely popular, and we're waiting for the third series to come, Stranger Things. I decided to rewatch series 1 again and then watch series 2. So I'm watching series 1 of Stranger Things again, and man, it's so good.
It's beautiful.
It's so good.
Yeah. It really is.
Yeah. It really is. Absolutely.
I watched all of season 1 in 2 nights.
I just hope this does not go to that point where we just go, oh no, not anymore. You know, series 5.
I'm hoping that they're going to have a Netflix Netflix are going to have enough sense when to stop that. They seem to be pretty good on cancelling their shows if and when they need to. I don't think this series will work for many more series, even just based on the children growing up too quickly. And they're what make this show. If you take Will, Dustin, Eleven,
work is do series 3, give it 10 years, and we revisit the town with those actors now, with their families and that kind of thing. Maybe what they do is they leave a little essence in series 3 behind, just for us to ponder, and then maybe give it 5, maybe 10 years.
To be honest with you, even if you didn't have to wait 10 years for this, but they just skip forward 10 years in time, that might be a good way of revitalising that series, because as much as those kids make it, I think if you did, you could finish the arc in season 3 to be, this is its self-contained 3 series run. If you want more Stranger Things, it's kind of like a spin-off series, but set 10 years later. And it will then be, if that doesn't work, then it will ruin the original inception of that franchise. And I love Stranger Things. I want more Stranger Things, but yes, I am also very concerned of whether or not this becomes stale, because season 2 didn't land for a lot of people.
No, it didn't.
Season 1 did,
which is why I'm going to watch it all again, because for that particular reason is
I loved it.
I did.
I love series 2, and I understand, but I do understand why some people didn't. That's the thing. I understand that they look at that and go, it didn't do that. No, because it's more of the same, and you wanted that same impact factor that you got with Stranger Things when it came out of nowhere. You don't ever get that with series. It's very rare. Game of Thrones seems to manage to do that, but not many series on their second term would people go, oh my God, that was so much better, because it's just more of the same. That initial wow factor was worn off. But we'll see in July. I mean, it's only a couple of months away now.
It's not far away, is it? Not far away at all. If you are someone who's got Amazon Prime and you like Star Wars, you like cheesy Star Wars stuff, both the Ewok Adventure and Caravan of Courage is now on Amazon.
Just cancelled by Amazon Prime.
Oh, well, there you go.
No.
So both of those films are on there. Now, if you've never seen these, they're worth watching with your kids.
Mate, I had them on DVD a few years back, and I got rid of them for a couple of quid to someone.
Oh, well,
tell me about it.
Definitely worth checking out. Also, the fantastic Babadook is now back on Amazon Prime, and if you like your horror, a little bit psychological and a bit dark, that's now back onto Amazon Prime. And also the documentary called Room 237. Have you ever seen Room 237? Room 237 is a documentary and the exploration into numerous theories regarding the subtext within Stanley Kubrick's phenomenal horror, The Shining. And this basically looks at all of the kind of little Easter eggs, if you like, in that film, as far as the guy who's made this documentary is concerned. Now, some of them are debatable. You could say, I can't really see that. And others are absolutely mind-blowing. So that documentary was not available on Amazon Prime for a very long time, and now it's on there. And if you're a lover of The Shining, yeah.
You know, Dr. Sleep comes out this year, don't you?
Absolutely.
In December. Yeah. No, with Ewan McGregor as a Danny Torrance. Yeah.
Indeed. So definitely go and check that documentary out if you've never seen it. It's really well worth a watch. Now,
cool.
I think it's time for a theme tune. And that theme tune is for this week's quiz. So, this week's quiz is for you, Andy, and next week it will be Jeremy's questions, and we won't give him your results.
Can we just address the elephant in the room here about Jeremy? Right?
Yes.
Right. He hasn't been here for a few weeks now.
How many weeks?
This has been the third week that he's not on the pod. It has been noted as unauthorised absence. Right.
Yes.
Okay. I have sent him
A written warning.
a written warning this afternoon because
Yep.
he actually has been on holiday, which, fair enough. He didn't want us
Mhm.
to kind of mention on the pod, but he's back now. And he's now feeling a little bit too poorly after 2 weeks off in the
Lost his
sun.
voice.
He's lost his voice, bless him, that he can't come on and do the pod tonight, which, we've mentioned that we've been through some trials and tribulations of our own over the last couple of
And
weeks.
we've been here.
We've been here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was suffering from debilitating tooth pain this week and
I had a
ended up
collapsed
emergency
lung when I was
dentist.
here.
Collapsed lung,
I've a
emergency
heartbreaking
dentistry
pain.
on me. I had a tooth ripped out of my mouth on
I've been
Tuesday
dumb.
night.
I've been here.
I don't know that one.
Oh,
Apparently Alexa's joining in as well now. For some reason. Okay, but yeah, Jeremy's not here. It has been noted, and any further absences will result in probably suspension anyway. So,
well, whether he makes next week's quiz or not,
it depends on his demeanour with me via messages over Facebook in the next few days, whether or not he's even invited back onto the next one. So,
yes, he's a retro bait, isn't he?
Yeah.
So, are you ready for your questions?
Well, I don't even know what they're on.
They're on everything.
On everything.
Okay. They're on everything. Ready to go. Andy, your first question. Who played the role of Elliot in E.T.? Name the actor.
Oh, is it Henry Thomas?
Henry Thomas is the correct answer.
Yes! Cool.
Okay. Are you ready for your next question?
Yeah.
Name the composer for the film scores of Inception and Batman the Dark Knight.
Inception and Batman the Dark Knight. Is it Hans Zimmer?
It's Hans Zimmer.
Who got the keys to my bimmer? Yeah.
Name the actor who plays Roy in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, Richard Dreyfuss.
Correct. Who had a hit with the video? Who had a hit with Video Killed the Radio Star?
The Buggles.
Correct. What country originated, standard, and associated 21-pin connector for connecting audio-visual AV equipment, otherwise known as SCART? What country originated the SCART lead?
The UK.
Is the incorrect answer. It was France.
Was it really?
I thought you might have got that one.
No. I may be a bit of a tech head, but I'm not aware of where things were invented, such as the Universal Serial Bus.
Well, let's see if you get this one. What was the date set for the future in the DeLorean in Back to the Future?
2015.
What was the actual date?
June 12th.
Unfortunately, that is not the correct answer. It's October the 21st, 2015. Can you name...
Why? It's sunny. It's sunny and hot in Hill Valley, and that's in the Northern Hemisphere during...
It doesn't come into that, unfortunately. Can you name the two characters who sit in the balcony in The Muppet Show?
Statler and Waldorf.
Correct. Andy.
That's kind of like me and Jeremy when you're hosting, isn't it?
Who lived at 15 Credibility Street?
Me, baby. 15 Credibility Street. I'm going to say the young ones.
Correct answer.
That was a guess, but I knew your head.
Name the actor who plays Angel in Buffy.
David Boreanaz.
Correct.
My wife's met him.
Which two actresses have been married to Ryan Reynolds?
Blake Lively and... I'm going to kick myself for this because I know who it is. No, come on, you're going to have to give it to me.
Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson, of course. Yeah, I knew that as well. It was.
I'm going to give you half a point for that.
Thank you.
Name the actor who plays Sam Flynn in Tron Legacy.
Garrett Hedlund.
Correct. Well done. The possibility of navigating an asteroid field is
14 billion to 1.
Do you want to have another go? He's not here.
No.
Think of 3PO's voice saying it.
I am, and I can hear it. It's 1. I can't. I can look at it.
It's 3,720 to 1.
All right.
And your last question. You ready for this one?
Yeah, I'm going.
In the speeder bike chase in Return of the Jedi, how many speeder bikes are there, not including the speeder that Luke and Leia are on?
1.
So, okay, think about it. Han steps on this twig, crack. Biker Scout goes running off.
Jumps on.
Yeah, Luke and Leia go chasing.
Both on theirs.
Yeah, and how many speeder bikes are chasing Luke and Leia? And how many speeder bikes have got Biker Scouts on in that chase?
2.
Is the incorrect answer.
What is it?
4.
Is it really?
It's 4, yeah.
Blimey,
so there's the 2, right? There's the 2.
Mm.
Okay, and then they separate and Luke goes for one, Leia goes the other one, right? And then as they're flying past, 2 Biker Scouts see them and they give chase.
They do, don't they? Yeah, they jump on. Okay, yeah, all right.
You did very well there, mate. So I asked you 13 questions and you got a total of 3 wrong and 1 half answer. So there you go. Next week, it's Jeremy's turn if he's here.
So I've got 9.5 points then. Yeah,
half points out of 13, which is pretty good.
Quick maths.
Yeah. There we go. Anything else you want to add for this week before we round this week's show?
The amazing ball of unstoppable force that is Endgame, and its second weekend is now looking to total over $2 billion worldwide.
So, in the first 3 days, this film took a total of
1.2.
1.2. Now, we normally see that kind of income, don't we? After how long for a film?
After the full run of a very, very successful movie.
Yes.
I mean, we're not even talking BVS figures and that. That was, it shatters them. You look at Endgame, which was the highest grossing movie over the 3-day weekend, was 680 million, I think it was, worldwide. This doubled that in its first weekend. In its second weekend, it is now at $2 billion, which I think only a handful of movies have ever even hit that amount. And it is now $0.7 billion away from being the highest grossing, sorry, $0.7 billion away from being the highest grossing movie of all time. And it's only in its second week. I've yet to see it again yet, and I'm going to go see it again.
I know 3 people that have seen it this weekend for their second time.
Yeah.
So it just is mind-boggling. This time next week, this film would have taken. Do you think it's going to hit 3 billion?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it will hit 3 billion.
Possible?
See, the thing is, what you've got to put into context as well is the length of run that Titanic was at the cinema for, the second highest grossing movie of all time. That was at the cinema for a very long time, because I know it was the mid-90s, but still, it was at that point where films didn't come out left, right and centre and have that same hold for the captive audience over an extended period of time. They came, they did their bit and they went. Even films like Independence Day was the highest grossing movie of all time at one point, but kind of just did its bit and disappeared. And then you look at Titanic, it was in the cinema for a very long run. I went to see that 4 times myself at the cinema. And then you look at Avatar. Now, Avatar is a very strange beast for what it did, because that success has never been emulated until now. We're yet to be emulated. I mean, you could have a 70% drop off of figures by next weekend for Endgame. It could happen. It did happen with Batman vs Superman, wasn't it? In its second week, it dropped something like 80%.
Yes.
So it's not unprecedented, but it obviously won't happen with Endgame because this has still got some power behind it. But you look at Avatar, and that was released on so many different formats over, I think it was like over a year and a half. It kept coming back out onto the IMAX, into this format, 3D IMAX, 2D IMAX, 3D, 2D on the normal screens, and it kept getting re-released. And, and it did that amount of money over its elongated term of showing, right? Endgame is in its second week with the ball still rolling heavily, with only 700 million to do to become the highest grossing film of all time. Now, I say only 700 million because that's what most films will make in their entirety, if they're lucky. But this is a film that could easily do that. This is a film that I can honestly see it by. It's going to start slowing now. We've already seen that slow. It's just about hitting 2 billion this weekend, and it was at 1.2. So that's slowed down. I mean, not greatly, but it has. I can see this dropping off now, and it could be on the cinema for another couple of months. But over those 2 months, I am not going to be surprised if it hits the 3 billion mark at all.
The astonishing thing is, back on August the 31st, 2009, Disney announced a deal to acquire Marvel for $4.24 million. So they bought Marvel.
Is that all it was?
$4.24 billion.
A billion, right? Okay, yeah, right. So 4.24 billion.
That's what they paid for Marvel in 2009. Now, bearing in mind that the first Marvel movie was Blade.
No, is that
you're kind of going back to thinking,
what we're talking here, because the first Marvel movie was actually Howard the Duck, wasn't it? Back in the 80s with George Lucas. That was the first actual Marvel movie. But if you're going to talk about this, when did they buy him? They bought him in 2008, didn't they?
Yes.
So, I mean, I'd kind of say that was the first inception of Marvel movies with Blade, was around that time that X-Men and things started to become, superheroes were brought to the forefront. Howard the Duck is something that is easily forgettable because it's not, as much as it's a comic book movie, it's not a superhero movie, is it?
I mean, the cinematic universe is one thing, but of course, of Marvel characters and come out, of course, you're looking at Howard the Duck and Blade, but
Howard the Duck was an Endgame, mate.
What is astonishing is that they paid, $4 billion, nearly $4.5 billion for Marvel, and this film already, without everything else. It's astonishing. What an acquirement.
And between this and Endgame, they've paid that bill off, and they've got 20 other movies that are making bank for them, essentially, there. Not only
and now with the acquirement of Fox as well, I mean, just Marvel is now the biggest movie franchise beyond Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. I mean,
beyond it. I mean, we were talking, 10 odd years ago, talking about Star Wars being the biggest movie franchise, and now it's almost, dwarfed it. Marvel, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Good on her.
Thing as well we have to mention is the wonderful passing over of a lightsaber to the hand of Iron Man from Kathy Kennedy. From a galaxy far, far away to Earth's mightiest heroes, congratulations on the biggest opening weekend in history, from Kathleen Kennedy and everyone at Lucasfilm. And I thought that was a really lovely sentiment by her. Real kudos, actually, to her for doing that, because it is a wonderful thing.
I've just found the worldwide grosses for the most successful movie franchises of all time for you. Okay, so I'm going to start at 10th. Let me go down to the bottom of the list, and we can play a little bit of fun as we go through here. So, at number 10, Spider-Man. The worldwide gross of $4.858 billion. Obviously, that's including 1, 2, and 3. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. And you know what? I should imagine Homecoming as well is in there.
Well, before the acquirement of Disney, I can't remember the guy who said this, but he said, when Spider-Man was sold, he said, Spider-Man's $1 billion franchise, and he was right. It became
it's not been sold to Disney, has it? They lend him out to them because they still make their money there themselves. But I mean,
what's next on the list?
Does that Spider-Man one include Venom? Do you reckon? Because that would, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But number 9 is the DC extended universe, which is at 4.9 billion. Which, let's put that down. I mean, that goes down to more Wonder Woman and Aquaman between the two of them making 2 billion.
Yeah, there. And of course every year we get some more animated shows.
We'll see how that goes, but this is just the live action movies as a franchise. So number 8 is Jurassic Park at 4.9 billion. Number 7 is Fast and Furious at 5.1 billion.
Yeah.
Then we've got the X-Men franchise at 5.8 billion. Then we are at the Lord of the Rings at 5.8 billion, obviously, and change. James Bond is in 4th with 7 billion. Harry Potter is in 3rd with 9 billion. So that leaves us with our 2 beloved franchises. What we're saying?
Yeah, I'm saying Marvel.
Second place.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. How much do you reckon?
Go on.
9.3 billion. Mm-hmm. Let's get to the Marvel Cinematic Universe here. So the Marvel Cinematic Universe is now the number 1 movie
Star Wars
franchise.
At
9.3 billion, right? Okay, so the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
32.
Right, no, not that high.
Okay.
Bearing in mind this doesn't include Endgame.
Okay.
Okay, bearing in mind Infinity War made 2 billion in its entirety, so
right.
Endgame's already done that.
So, we'll go double. We'll go 18 billion.
Spot on, my friend. 18.263. Jeez, dude. I mean, like you said, they bought that for 4 billion, right? So they've already made 14 billion off of that franchise just in the movie cinematic universe, not including merchandise. And obviously Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. I think what's going to expand this even more is the fact that I'm not one for Disney World, Disneyland, that kind of thing. But is there very much Marvel at Disney World, Disneyland?
Yes, I have a lot of family go out there. I'm not sure if it was Disney they're at or Universal or somewhere out. No, it might be not Universal, but they've sent me a lot of pictures of the Marvel stuff over in. It isn't Disney now, isn't it? Of course it is. But they've sent me a lot of pictures of the Marvel stuff over there. They've got a load of the live sort of float stage shows that they do and that.
The revenue that the merchandise is now bringing.
Exactly. I mean, Disney, Star Wars was born for merchandise, wasn't it? That's what it was kind of a love child for. And like I said to you before, when I go into the shops now, I see more Marvel than I see Star Wars on the shelves. So...
One particular piece of merchandise that you flashed up onto our Facebook group was shall we say fake Blu-ray box set box?
Yeah, it is they say it's fake, and I get that, but it's not, is it?
No, of course not, because they're going to be doing that, aren't they? They're going to be.
And let's be honest, that's exactly the sort of box I think it would look like. I think that when this finally gets officially announced, it's going to be exactly that picture.
Isn't it?
The only difference was that it was a silver gauntlet and not a gold one.
So, what do you think that's going to be? So we're going to have 22 movies in a box set, probably maybe 24 because there'll be maybe an extra couple of discs, perhaps. Do you think?
Yeah, and I'm wondering, because technically, isn't Far From Home still part of Phase 3?
Well, by the time this comes out. It may not make the box, but let's say it doesn't make the box, so it goes up
22 movies plus, like you say, a couple of DVDs of
2 in there, so it'll be a 24 set, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you reckon the RRP is going to be on that? 70 quid, 69.95, 120. Yeah,
I honestly do, because you got to look at Endgame and Infinity War. Will still probably be retailing around a sort of 15 to 20 pound mark.
10 quid a Blu-ray, aren't you? 10 quid a Blu-ray.
So 20 of them, that's 200, and the other two at £20 each would be 240. But I think obviously condense that down into a box set. I'm honestly thinking you're going to be looking around the £120 mark.
Yeah,
for this.
give that a year. and it'll drop 50%, 60%.
Of course it was. Or you walk into HMV at Christmas and it'll be out for $99.99 or something like that.
Maybe a few places might be.
It's a great way of buying them. It really is if it's around that price, because I've been looking at doing it myself. I said to Stace, I don't own many Blu-rays or DVDs, but I really want them. And I started looking at the ones.
It's not a 4K collection. I mean, would you think that they wouldn't do a 4K collection, would they?
What's the point, mate? I mean, if they do, great, but I'm never going to buy that. I've got a 4K TV, but I haven't got a 4K player. So, and I'm not one of these that I'm willing to fork out. And you've seen it. You've seen my TV. We put on They Live on Blu-ray, and it looks
mind-blowing.
Astounding. And I was watching the Blu-ray copy of Return of the Jedi earlier. I've not actually watched Blu-ray Star Wars on my TV yet. I put it on and I was shedding a tear at how gorgeous the lighting was on it.
Well,
when 3PO standing outside Jabba's palace and his arms up in the air, it was the light coming off of it was stunning.
I think I've mentioned this on a previous podcast that not everything is actually full 4K. No. There's 4K. There's some fake 4K. It's not. It's Ultra HD, and then you've got obviously 4K. So, yeah. And I mean, would I be buying that? Probably not, because I will have them all digitally in my iTunes, which is a bit of a mistake because if I decide to go down the Android route, I've lost everything perhaps. But yeah, I will have them all on DVD for sure. Because right now you can walk into any computer exchange shop like CEX, which is one particular franchise we got in this country, and you can pick up DVDs like, for example, Iron Man 3 is £2, 50p. I've saw Captain America First Avenger 4. So getting them on DVD is a great thing. It's a nice thing to have in consumption.
Yeah, but I was looking
at
the Blu-rays.
This Blu-ray collection would be something.
I was looking at buying the individual Blu-rays, and a lot of places I've looked at £2 for £15, which is a really good price for some Blu-rays. Yeah, I can't knock £7.50 for a Marvel film on Blu-ray.
So you could do this set, couldn't you, separately?
You could, but I was looking at it, and there's too many different iterations of it. And now, luckily, they've just brought out these O-ring ones, which have got a cardboard sleeve, and they're all in the same style, and it looks really nice. I thought, if I could get them, that's what I would get. I would get the whole shebang in the O sleeves. But I thought, that's a lot of mucking about. Plus, it's going to be one of those that by the time I finally slowly collect them all, I'm going to find one or two that I'm going to have trouble getting. I'm glad I've now waited until this point where Endgame's done, or out, that this will happen. It's I can't remember who it was in the group that said to me, went, "Oh, that's supposed to be fake, isn't it?" I went, "Well, yeah, but it's funny how businesses work, is that they like to sell stuff, so this is going to be real. It's not they've already got the phase 1 and 2 sets, they're going to obviously do the whole box set."
I thought the design was absolutely spot on, to be honest. Absolutely spot on. It will be black. It will have a gauntlet glove on the front. It will have a line of blue on the top where it says Blu-ray, and it will say what? What do you think it will be called? The collection?
They're the Infinity Saga. That's what they've called it. They have actually called. Feige's confirmed that this will end. He said it will end the Infinity Saga. So that box, I mean that artwork was all as kosher as it can be for fake. If that sounds
fantastic.
Stupid. Yeah, I mean it's people going, "That's fake, isn't it?" Isn't it, with a question mark, because it's that good. Nobody really knows. It's one of those. But my point was, I put it out there and I was like, yeah, it is fake, but this will happen.
What has happened is those wonderful brothers, the Russos, have announced that tomorrow, being Monday, is the date when the embargo really on talking about Endgame is over, in terms of we can now start talking about spoilers.
Don't you think that's great? I think that's how all directors for big movies should do it. They set the embargo date. Because we've always had this problem. I mean, me and Stace were talking about the other day about Game of Thrones, and when does a spoiler? We've always spoke about this. We've brought this up before on here about when does the spoilers, that embargo of spoilers run out, and nobody really knows. And we need to set some sort of precedent. And I think maybe that should be down to directors if they care about their fans and their property. Something like Endgame, they sent out that wonderfully worded letter to the world. And then they said to everyone, this is the date where after that, it's up to you. And I think that gives it a nice 2-week date for the people to turn around and go, look, if you're a real fan, that's 2 weeks we're giving you to go see this. And that's a good grace period. Now, I know, unfortunately, there's people like Jeremy that are off swanning around eastern, climates and enjoying himself, and he never managed to get to the cinema. But that's unfortunate, and that's an unfortunate thing for him. But there's only so long that people like us, or even just fans, can sit there and, you had it happen to you. You had a friend of yours assumed that
I went to the midnight
had
showing
gone to see it because you're the sort of person that would, and you're a big enough fan. But unfortunately, life got in the way, and they just totally assumed and went, "This happened," and you was like, "Damn." And that's not their fault. It's not your fault. That's life getting in the way. And this is why we need an embargo, some sort of date set by the directors on something like this. You could have Benioff and Weiss talking, right, Game of Thrones, you cannot talk about this week's episode until the next one's out. Which, it's a week. It's a TV series. You've got a week to sit down for an hour in the evening and watch it. Everyone can find that time if you're that bothered about it. And it's a nice precedent to set by them.
I agree. I think that's a brilliant thing to do. I mean, it's their baby, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, when you want to announce the name of their baby, for example, it should be down to the director, not leaks and everything else.
I hate leaks.
So do I. Yeah. So do I.
The fun out of it. And not only takes the fun out of it for the creatives.
It does indeed. But what we've got to do is applaud so far, not just our Facebook group and our Facebook page, but also all the Marvel fans out there that have actually done them proud by keeping things very quiet, and people really, really have, and I am proud of the human race for doing that. To be honest,
I've noticed it a couple of times lately. I noticed it with Game of Thrones quite a bit. That I'm on social media, and I said I tried to stay away from it until I've watched it, but I go on briefly. I've not seen anything. I saw. It's quite funny, and this is the spoilers without context. Have you ever seen them memes?
Yes. Yeah.
And I love them. There's some great ones, like it was an American flag on someone's butt for Avengers, and it's like, that's cool. But I saw the latest one for Game of Thrones was Game of Thrones episode 3. Spoilers without context, and it was the 4 panels, and each one of them was pitch black. Right, which made no sense until I actually watched the episode. It does kind of make a lot of sense because it's a very dark episode, and a lot of people were complaining about they couldn't see what was going on. I thought it was great because it was debilitating. It was shot very well in that respect, but there has to be a break.
Did you like the Avenge the Fallen posters that were?
I did, yeah.
Did you happen to see this one?
Where I did, yes.
With a certain thing on it. Again, I'm not going to tell you what was on it, but, I thought that was really good. But someone did post this poster of Revenge of the Fallen with a certain thing on it. And I was like, is that a spoiler?
It's not a spoiler, but it's just with a film this size, anything is a spoiler.
Indeed.
Someone turns around to you and goes, so-and-so dies. No, they don't. It was a joke. Well, now I know they don't. Mm-hmm. So that's a spoiler because now I know there's no stakes for that character during this movie.
I thought you were absolutely. I agree. I thought when I saw that, I thought, you shouldn't really have done that. It's just giving anything away. Giving anything away is, it is a spoiler. So, congratulations everybody for keeping very quiet.
Congratulations, Marvel.
Yeah, congratulations, Marvel, man. $3 billion. It's quite astounding.
It's going to hit there.
It's going to hit $1 billion, isn't it? It really, really is. So, this week's podcast has been myself and Andy.
Again, on our own, as usual, lately.
Absolutely. Big shout out to Mr. Rob Wade of Talk Star Wars for his brilliant. Was it a performance or I just say? He was on BBC Radio 2.
Do you know what? I think that man could be the next James Bond. He's got a calm, suave swagger with him.
Rob, brilliant job, mate. And a good shout out to the Commonwealth and Talk Star Wars on Radio 2. And what he basically did was he appeared on a radio station and he was giving...
They do the Midnight Mastermind, don't
That's
they?
right.
Yeah.
He was giving the guy some questions on Rogue One. Admittedly, they were easy questions. I did ask him about them and he said...
Jeremy probably would have struggled.
He probably would have done. These were questions that actually the producer said, okay, what questions have you got? And he picked those. So they're a bit easy. But yeah, great job, mate. Well done. Generation X-Wing's last podcast I thought was really damn good. And I'd love to give another shout out to Kyle, Corey, and Carlos for their recent episodes of The Tumbling Saber, along with obviously last week's podcast for Talk Star Wars. So go and check those out if you haven't already subscribed for a bit of great Star Wars chat. You can also
I found a new little podcast this week. I don't know if you ever heard it. It's called the Joe Rogan Experience. It's really good.
You've only just got there, have you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Right, I've been listening to Joe Rogan for years. I mean, years. And I do...
I figured he was out that long when it was on episode 1269 or something like that. I was like, right, okay.
Yeah. I've adored the guy and his podcast, and his guests are just astonishingly good.
Yeah, Eddie Izzard was on this week. Fantastic.
Brilliant. Russell was fantastic.
He was, yeah.
Graham Hancock, awesome as always. And Be Real from Cypress Hill was a hell of an episode. Yeah, I mean, outside the Commonwealth, podcasts are a strange thing because we've got our other little quirks that we like, and you want to look for something that has a little bit of everything. And Joe Rogan is the man, and it's no wonder he is the number one podcaster out there. Put like an endorsement from him, wouldn't we? Eh? Wouldn't that be too good? So yeah, for this week, I think that does everything. I know you did rewatch Avatar again. Maybe we can talk about that on next week's show. What's there to really be said about it? Did you watch the full director's extended cut?
No, I just showed my daughter the scary bits.
Did you? Good, yeah. That's what I like to hear. So as always,
I'm not even joking.
Yeah. Look at this. Yeah.
Look at her stabbing this weird dog thing in the forest. Yeah.
So as always, you've been listening to the Retro Inc. podcast, a production and a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. And of course, you can check out more from the Star Wars Commonwealth at starwarscommonwealth.com, where all the podcasts are listed there and all the episodes. And you can also go and check out our website, retroincpodcast.co.uk, with some new features on there. We've got some couple of new articles that have just appeared by one of our listeners and members of our Facebook group, David Brown, and his list of horror films is available on the website. You can also join us on Twitter and Instagram and the Retro Inc. Facebook page, and of course our community of great, wonderful people on the Facebook group, which is the Retro Inc. Facebook page group. And we've got a YouTube channel if you ever want to listen to us there. Alternatively, you can find all of us at the Star Wars Commonwealth podcasts such as Talk Star Wars, The Tumbling Saber, and The Nerd Room, of course, and Generation X-Wing, Rogue Squadron, San Diego Sabers Radio podcast, and of course the Sandcrawler podcast. May, it's been a joy as always talking to you and waffling as we often do, and making it up as we go along, as we often do. Winging it, they call that, don't they? Winging
I mean, I haven't even hit record this week yet. So
this is a joke. You got to do it. That I think rounds things up for this week's show. Now we've got 2 weeks left to go before our birthday, and that's our birthday. That's the Retro Inc. birthday. So could you please, as a listener, send us anything?
Money would be great.
You can't really do that in an email, but could you send us an email to contact
Bitcoin?
Yeah, you could do. Contact at retroincpodcast.co.uk.
Well done, mate.
We'd love to have your views and
just
your
some testimonials.
What
things you've enjoyed from the podcast. Yeah.
Things that you found funny.
Don't go that far.
Well, you could if you like. We'd love a 5-star review on iTunes, please. Just give us a little review on there. It really, really helps us get found, and that's the important thing. People often, talk about liking and subscribing and those kind of things. Well, reviews on iTunes are really, really helpful because they do get us found. So if you could do that, that'd be wonderful. It won't take long. You listen to your podcast via iTunes probably or Podbeam. Just scroll down and just write a comment. Just put great show. That's it. Do the 5-star, send. That's it.
Yeah. Like Adam said, it don't take much, does it? Like, just put your crisps down or whatever you're doing on your lunch break listening to us, and just for 5 seconds, appreciate that we do this for nothing. All right? You just give us a bit of your time. Right? Every Sunday we sit down and do it. No, you better sign off because I'm going to start getting angry soon. All right? If people don't start giving us 5-star reviews. All right? I'm going to start tracing IPs and finding people that download us.
Even if it's 4. Even if it's 4 is good. 4's good, isn't it? 4's good, 5's good, but just a little comment would be fantastic. So if you could do that, that would be marvellous. But for our anniversary show on the 19th of May, which is when we'll be recording that.
I don't know why we're bothering, mate. They can't even do a 5-star review. They're not going to send us anything else in, are they? Like, literally hit 5 stars. It's great. Send. Like, yeah. But anyway, yeah, we will accept written things. So, if you want to write us an email and we'll read it out. If you do want to send us in a voice clip, just record it on your phone. The quality is good enough. And just email it to us at that address.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
If you can't, for some reason, because of the file size, send it to us that way. Just drop me an email or hit us up on Facebook and we'll figure out some sort of way. You can even throw it in our Dropbox. And we can do it that way. So, but there's a will and a way, and we'll play you out in the air. If you want to promote something of your own while you're doing it, then feel free, as long as it's not a retro podcast and you're trying to step on our toes, it's fine. Yeah. And if you're Jeremy, don't even bother, mate. Don't even bother showing back up right now, okay? I'm fuming.
Yeah.
Like Turkey is a chicken, mate. That's what he is. He's too scared to come back on now. With his White Walker eye that he's got going on.
Yeah. That's right.
A mess. Right. We're going now. I'm getting angry with people.
Cue the music. And thanks for listening. See you next time on the Retro Inc. podcast.
Don't bother saying goodbye. They're not going to bother saying goodbye back, are they? See you later.
Good night and goodbye.